Hi guys, some people are just so unlucky. Some people are just so unlucky. Dance has a long history of this happening to him. For those who don't know, Dance has been suspended by Baroka. And we all know in South African football that there's two ways where you know a coach has been fired. It's either they get randomly suspended or the team announces a technical director who just so happens, man, to have coaching badges, who just so happens to be a recognized coach. We see this. We see this a lot. So Dance has been suspended. But what's interesting about this is the attitude of our teams towards certain coaches. Dance has been danced. This happened in the PSL. Come to the team, save them from relegation, you get fired. Come to a team, get them playing well, you get fired. Dance is not the only one. In the past few weeks, we've seen a few of them. One such example is Ulitono CM. Takes Kukune all the way to number 4. Suspended. Takes Polokwane City into the top 8. Suspended. Dance takes Baroka into a playoff. Now guys, for those who don't know, getting to a playoff for certain teams means a lot of things for those owners. Obviously, the biggest one is that you can go into the PSL, but one of the other points is that it drastically increases the valuation of your team. So what Dance has done to take a mid-table Baroka, I believe they were mid-table, and put them into a playoff to get into the PSL is incredible. It's a job well done. It's something that should be rewarded. But yet for some reason, our South African teams, man, they have this weird relationship with winning coaches. It's almost like I can't give you credit for doing the job that you did. I can't give you credit. Ooh, Gavin, you've got us in the semi-finals of the Champions League. No, you know what? We'd much rather fire you now. Much rather. We get rid of you now so that at the end of the season, you don't take credit for all of this stuff. A certain team did that. What happens? And why is this such a cultural phenomenon at our teams? Coach Vusmuzi Vilagazi and Coach Mabuti Kanyeza had a team up to second. I believe Golden Arrows was second when he left. Gone. He leaves. Morgan Mamila has just been fired right now. He says he doesn't know who made the decision. It's not the chairperson. Legal contacted him and said he was now fired, so he fetched all of his things, or yada 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 yada. Why do we keep having the same type of story when it comes towards our coaches? And I know I'm starting off on purpose focusing on the teams because it does really feel like these teams know which coaches they can use until they can be put into a certain position. And once they put into that certain position, there's coaches that they want to go fetch that look better on paper. I'm sure certain coaches, let's say, the rumored person for this job, Coach Morgan Mamila, comes in. It looks better. He's a PSL coach. You know, he has his record ever since. He always tells us about his record ever since he came in. He won X amount of games versus other coaches. All of that, it's all true. All true. But then you fast forward a few months later, and it's like, "Ay man, lo muntu akachinja." It's not to say that's going to happen with Morgan Mamila. I'll just use an example. But a few months later, you figure out that, "Ay man, this person is not gelling with this team. It's not clicking with this team." Coach Dance, do you want a 6-month contract? Our teams need to do better. Our teams need to get serious. Stop sacrificing your progress for whatever ego or pride you guys have, whatever feelings you have about these coaches. Stop sacrificing that because they've done well. Coach Dentens is on the brink of promoting Ibarok. Abolsolo Siema are sitting on the brink, was sitting on the brink of a Confed Cup spot for his Kukun, even though Kukun is going to go to the Confed anyway because of the 4th place. So you could say that he directly qualified them for Africa again. Their track records are good before you let them go. So take them seriously. Don't just hire to fire a Hollywood big name coach who's not going to fit into what you want, who's going to ask too much of you. Now, Moroka Swallows. Musa Yatama is sitting right there. He saved your club on multiple occasions. Yet you've gone out and you've got another coach, Steve, and all of those people. Not to say that they're bad coaches, but now Muntu Khan. Now, all of those expenses could have been avoided. Think about Ibaroka right now. They're going into a crunch time in the playoffs, promotional playoffs. Tuks already has a win right now. Richards Bay still has to play. And you're getting rid of coach. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I just feel like our teams are not serious in what they do. But now I want to point it at the coaches. Coach Dentens. And I'm going to speak to Coach Dentens directly. How many times are you going to allow this to happen? How many times are you going to allow the South African teams to play with you? Every time a team is in trouble, who's the first name that people think of? Dentens. He comes in, he's got a 6-month contract, 4-month contract, turns the team around, they start playing football, gone. I'd imagine, Coach Dentens, that by this point, your representatives, I don't know who's your agent, I don't know who your lawyers and all those people are, but those people should have made sure that by now your contract is ironclad. By now, if a desperate team comes looking out for me, I do 2 things. I make sure that I can't just be moved aside. 1, I make sure that it's a multiple season contract. You know, rumor has it Dentens was coaching at Royal AM when John Maduka got fired. He was coaching without a contract. That's why it was so easy for him to go to Gallants. That doesn't strike me as a serious coach. That doesn't strike me. It struck me as Nomaini Prayam. Hey, Yazi, I've been looking for a job. Nobody wants me. Nomaini Prayam. Nigezele a 4-month contract. I spoke about Coach Pitso the other day when I was like, oh, Coach Pitso is out here as one of the best guys, yet they're treating him like the Dentens wako Saudi Arabia. At what point do you take yourself seriously, Coach Dentens? And if you cannot do it contractually, at what point do you guys say, you know what? I'm going to Tanzania. I'm a Nedbank Cup winner. I've got a strong CV. I'm going to go coach in Tanzania for a bit. Oh, DR Congo, Morocco. Oh. Because the other part of this equation is that Dentens, no matter how many times you guys can speak about him, no big team will trust Dentens. He's now put himself into that box. And I know I'm going hard on Dentens right now because we love him. But there's plenty of coaches that need to get more serious. Get more serious contractually. Make sure they're ironclad. Get more serious team-wise. Start building your team, Dentens. You must tell them, Guti, listen, I've got 5 people that I roll with. so that we can make sure ukuthi nani ni serious. I've got 5 people that I'm rolling with right now that I want to jump into this team with so I can change this team's fortunes as I normally do. There's a reason why my number was on your phone. They must get serious and go get all of the licenses they can get. Hashem is not going to work anymore. Nizababukela Bo Rivero coming in. You watch Bo Pablo Franco Martin coming in. You watch about Dylan Shepard, who apparently his contract is so strong, allegedly, that he can't get moved. That's why he's been there the whole time when things have been falling at Chiefs. Contractually, he can't move. And stop taking these nomaini jobs, man. There was no need for a coach of Dan Dance's caliber to go down to the NFD. There was no need. Imagine, who coached Dan Dance in the first division? Nomaini, Priam. Oh, nomaini. Mfuna lo msebenzi. Whatever one comes up. Coach Siema, you took 2 teams into the upper part of the top 8. 2 teams. Rescue jobs. You took 2 teams and had them playing some scintillating football, gaining all types of points. Why would you, coach, take an alleged 4-month contract? If you knew your worth. There are floating around the league that get jobs everywhere, that get very nice terms all the time, that you don't hear about them getting fired midway through the season. Because they take this whole thing serious. Themselves too. So it's irritating to watch people like our coach Tentens, who we all know. People, guys, Chiefs fans have cried how long for Coach Tentens to come to Kaizer Chiefs? Every time I do a live show where I speak about Kaizer Chiefs and all of that stuff, everybody mentions Tentens. Yet now, getting fired from Baroka. No disrespect to Baroka, but come on, guys.